Hey everybody, welcome back to Champ and Sons and our Madden 21 Houston Texans franchise. Now you are going to notice something that's going on right now. Big changes were in the work I mentioned the last episode. Well, just like reality, Bill O'Brien, finito, finished, cha, no longer our head coach. Now we have Patches Champion. Patches, of course, being kind of an homage to one of the greatest motivating coaches that's ever been in, I guess you could say, cinematic history, Mr. Patches O'Houlihan. You know, to dodgeball from just a silly sport to the hearts and minds of America. Took a no-name gym all the way to the championship. So that's where the name Patches comes from, and that's where we are going to get our setup. Our new coach is going to be installed. Right now, we are going to end up cutting through the Pro Bowl and, of course, the playoffs. You see, Baltimore did beat the Browns, and them Cowboys did beat the 49ers. And so we'll be Ravens Cowboys Super Bowl. Now, taking a look at the Pro Bowl lineup. We have actually got some pretty good guys on there. We've got our fullback. We've got Cooks. And let's kind of continue to scroll down the list, and you'll start seeing a lot more of us come up. Fuller is there. Not tight ends. Laramie Tunsil. He got in. What is that? 3 guys right now? No, 4. And yeah, I think that's ours. That's 5. Our tackle. Let's see. J.J. Watt is 6. Come on, keep going. Bernardrick McKinney, 7. Come on, Bradley Roby's 8. And Kaimi Fairbairn, our kicker, is 9. And Kiki QT actually ended up making it as a punt returner. So 10 guys in the Pro Bowl. A really good roster makeup. So, yeah, we definitely should have had a better result than getting knocked out in the divisional round. But that's kind of football. That's just how it goes. And let's take a look at the yearly. Well, we'll do some scouting first. Then we're going to take a look at the yearly awards that get handed out. So, scouting wise, we're getting closer to the draft. We pretty much have an idea of what we're going to have to go for, right? So now, when you get to this point and you've scouted a majority of the positions that you're really targeting, you got to ask yourself, well, what do you want to look at from here on out? I don't have any of the combine report yet, so it still makes it a little bit harder to go down the list to try to find some of those gems that are hidden up in there. And so we're kind of just sticking to our defensive side at this point. And that's like I said, that's what we struggled with all year. We had one of the best offenses accompanied by one of the worst defenses. And I'll tell you how that's pretty realistic and how that turns out. Look at the Dallas Cowboys this season. Best passing offense in the league. Granted, it's because they have to, right? And worst defense. Now they're 1 of 3. And look at that. Deshaun Watson gets NFL MVP. I guess because he got through for just under 5,000 yards, 31 touchdowns on the season. And we did get to the playoffs. Now, this is what's funny. Look at this. AFC Offensive Player of the Year, Lamar Jackson beat us out, but somehow we ended up getting MVP. I don't know how that happens. I'm not going to question that. J.J. Watt got Defensive Player of the Year, followed closely behind Bernardrick McKinney, our linebacker, who had a hell of a season. Fantastic season, rather. And so we're going to do some quick upgrades here, and then we are going to get moving. We're going to go through free agency in this episode, and then we are also going to get through the draft, see what we can try to pull up. We are going to try to get some trades going in free agency, just because we're going to need to. We need more draft picks. One first round pick without having a second, waiting on until the third, just isn't going to cut it at this point. So that's one of those things that it's going to be hard to pull off, but I think we have some room that we can get rid of things, get rid of some guys, still maintain a decent, solid team, and be able to kind of move on, get some more picks pulled up. So that's what we're going to make our focus. And the Cowboys did win the Super Bowl 31-30 over the Ravens. So we do head to free agency. And we don't really have any wiggle room with free agency. So I know we have to clear up some cap space. And if you look, J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson are the two top, payment hits that we have in on our team right now. Of course, Will Fuller's up there too, and so that's one of those things that it's trying to judge what we're going to get rid of and what we're not going to get rid of, what's going to be able to get us something in return. And I had mentioned it last season, but J.J. Watt, he's old, right? I say he's old. He's also very injury prone. So I think we can get more in return for him in a trade. Yeah, he'll probably produce pretty excellently next year, but still. And now, one thing I found out last season with Madden, I can ask for higher round picks as long as they give up a player and a lower round pick. It's not really that simple this go around. So, and to be totally honest with you, the Bengals just don't want to give it up. You notice that trade meter didn't even move. Went from a first and second to first and third, and there was really no difference there in between how much they were willing to provide wiggle room for it. So, trading is one of those things. I know what I need and what I'm willing to sacrifice for it. So that's kind of what we do. And I end up having to give up a fourth round pick. I have multiple fourth round picks, so that's not an issue to me. Right? I did get the first round pick, which was a big pickup for us. And it's something that we're going to be needing going forward. Plus, it is going to clear up cap space. Now, one minor little issue I ran into in the process of making these trades, you'll see me kind of get to it a little later, is I make the trade, but it hasn't affected my salary cap or my cap wiggle room for the first week of free agency, which, man, that hurts. That hurt big time on it. So, and Bradley Roby, he had a great year, but the difference between him and our next guy on the roster spot right now, it's really not all that different, right? So we're not losing all that much by getting rid of him. And when I can look to free agency and I can get something in the draft, I just don't think that, it's going to be, I'm not going to hamper myself that much by getting rid of Roby at this point. He is only an 80 overall. He's I think 26, 27 at that point. So, it's one of those things that, okay, so he played great for us. He fits our scheme. But we still, I think I can still get more in the long run for him than what I would just keeping him. So, and we're looking at the Chiefs because they do have a first round pick, but it's not, obviously, it's not, one of the top 10 picks, but it's something that I think we could work with. And they're just not giving it up. They're just refusing. They're saying, you know what? No, we're not going to do it. And it's one of those trying to find that sweet spot in there. But they did have, I think theirs was a 22nd pick in the draft. So that's kind of what I was going. That covers, we have a top 10 pick, a number 14, and a later first round. So top 10, mid first, and later first. So that 3 first round picks, we can stack the cards for us. And that's kind of our goal in that segment. So now we are going to take a look at the free agents. The cap room does increase, not really a whole lot that I have the availability to actually sign someone with, so I do have to advance for all the cap room to really be made and the available funds and all that to kick in. So I advance here to the second week, and let's go and take a look at what's available. Generally, all the best, as we know, get signed in that first week. But this is where we kind of need to pick someone up. And here's the issue that we're going to run into. You know, and it's something you have to take into account anytime you go into an off season. Is generally these guys that are left as free agents, at least in Madden for the most part, are going to be your more older guys. They're going to be 29 through 30 something, those that are a high enough rated. And so, man, it becomes one of those problems that, shoot, I'm trying to build around young talent, but I don't want to invest too much in an older player that I know, I'm going to probably be looking to build someone around to replace in the next 2 years. And by that point, he's not going to have any trade value, really. So that is an issue. I looked at defensive tackles and left ends. I just, for what we have with Charles Omenihu being a 74 overall, yeah, obviously we're going to need a backup at some point, at some stage of the game. But we can do that as we go, right? That's not something that I have to take care of right now in free agency and look to probably try to spend a lot of money on. And Omenihu is young. I can develop him. And so if we get a guy, if I can find someone that's better for cheap, okay. You know what? We got to kind of take that. You kind of really have to. So, and once again, the draft is coming up. I got multiple first round picks. So that's really also, pinging around in the back of my brain is, all right, so what do I really need to spend my money on versus, okay, I took a hit in trading some guys, but I got the picks. And so let me see where we can kind of go with these free agents. And like I said, look at Tyrone Crawford. He's 31. Yeah, he's a 77 overall, but he got average development. Michael Kendricks, 30. Markel Lee's 25, but his overall is not something that really fits for what I'm needing with middle linebacker. You got to remember, I have Cunningham, a middle linebacker. I have Cole as a middle linebacker. I got some pretty decent guys up the gut. So I do go looking for a cornerback in the end, and seeing Levi Wallace. Joe Hayden is 30, so he's just too old for me. LaMarcus Joyner's the same thing. Levi Wallace is 26. He's a 79 overall. We have Garyon Conley at 78. We have Vernon Hargraves, who's a 76, but we can get these guys developed because they're all about 26 years old. And so Levi Wallace, we're going to keep looking at what total 98. We know that's not going to get us, so let's go ahead and continue to make our adjustments. And that's kind of where the more fun part of free agency works is to kind of see where they're at. And just because you get above the points and what you're offering, that does not mean that they're going to sign with you. It just doesn't. Okay? I think everybody that's played this game long enough, gone through enough offseason, knows that if your team is bad enough or they don't like the direction you're heading, you ain't getting them. So now we do blow them out of the water. We get to the 112-point range. And so we are going to go ahead and do some scouting to continue to try to look at where we need to build and just maybe throw something else out there. One thing we haven't looked at is we haven't looked at quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson's on the run all the time. He gets hurt. And so it's one of those you kind of have to look at maybe what's going to be available later on. And so we're still keeping our focus on the defense because that's where we needed the most help. But you always gotta take a look. things from a certain perspective, right? So that's what we're kind of working on here is, all right, let's continue to look at these defensive guys. Maybe we'll start to find a gem at this point, but you can't always be guaranteed of that. And since there are no guarantees in life, that's why we're looking at it. Well, that's not true. There are some guarantees. As the old saying goes, death and taxes, right? Classic joke. That's what y'all tune in for, isn't it? My comedy stylings of Champ and Sons. All right, so getting further down this linebacker list, still trying to finish this off. This is always the tedious part, and normally I don't ever show it. But I wanted to give y'all a little insight into the mind of myself. And I'm not going to lie, it can be a scary trip. So I kept it pretty basic with some scouting in the draft. But just so y'all can have a little thought process in terms of you watch these videos, goes, what is he thinking? Why is he doing these things? Well, now you're going to know. Now you're going to learn. That's what this is all about. Learning and growing together, people. That's what I'm all about here at Champ and Sons. Yeah, so that 3 first-round picks. We do only have one quarterback, so yeah, I do end up like, okay, let me just try to. I'm not going to get one in the top rounds. That'd be foolish of me to even try. So we just take the turn. Let's start looking at some of these lower round quarterbacks. And that first one we looked at was pretty useless. I think we all can agree on that. So what we are going to do, let's take a look to see if we did get our signing. And he did accept it. Okay. Levi Wallace accepts it, 79 overall. And now we are going to go ahead and jump into this NFL draft. Our first draft of the season, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hop to it. We have the number 10 pick. I am only going to advance one by one through the top 10. Or really probably through this first round because my picks are so close to each other. But other than that, man, I always just advance to the next user pick, the third, then the fifth, then the seventh. I'm not going to spend too much time evaluating the CPU's drafts because really I don't care too much. As long as I have my guys available, that's all I truly care about. All right, so taking a look, no one's drafted our cornerback yet until now. God dang it! It just got Hobbs. Now I got to go in and take a look. Like, oh crap, who do we have left? I know there's plenty of picks for the first round, but just fingers crossed that no one else picks a DB. And let's see, the Chargers go defensive tackle, Panthers right guard, Cardinals left end. Let's see, who do the Steelers end up getting? And they go right tackle. So good. We are going to have our guys available. Yeah, it's just kind of trying to narrow down who do we pick at this point. I really do think left end. We did get Levi Wallace, but I don't know. It's a tough call. We got a 10th, and then we go all the way down to the 14th. So that's not too much in between. There are 3 projected first-round talents. So, yeah, I am going to go defensive tackle since we do have that 14th pick. Or defensive line. Since we have the 14th pick, I just don't think we're going to miss out on all 3 of those. At least one of them will be there. And so taking a look at them, here's their combine grades. And look at Matthew Miller, 2nd and 40, 1st in the broad jump, 1st in 3-cone, 1st in the shuttle. We are going to go ahead and pick him up. And he's a 77 overall. Has him as a good pick. Downside, he's just basic development. He does not have a hidden trait, which that is kind of impressive. That they would slide that in there on me. No development trait. 77. So that's good, but man, I wish we had gotten an X Factor trait or at least a development trait to see what he could be at that point. So now here we come with our 14th pick. And taking a look, we do have one of our cornerbacks is going to be available. Max Forbes, projected to be a mid-first rounder. And, well, that's exactly where we are. We are in the mid-first round. He's out of Penn State. Had a pretty good combine, and he's a 74 overall. Does have a hidden development trait. That is perfect. Max is ranked number 12. We got him at 14. That is a good pick, building onto our team here. And now we're going to start to advance once again, because we have the 22nd pick. Yeah, we're all the way down to 22. Let's keep going. See who the Saints going to get. They got QB. They went with Glass, I guess, Drew Brees replacement. The Tampa Bay Bucks go cornerback Fleming. That's probably a pretty decent pick. I remember we did look at him. Falcons go for right tackle, Michael Shelton. And now here we come to our pick. So needing to look, let's just take a look at who we've scouted, separated out first by that. Yeah, and we still sticking with the defensive side. That's really what our whole focus was. And so right now it's just trying not to make too much of a mess out of this pick. Taking a look at Rashaan Bushrod. Pretty decent combine. Didn't have the greatest combine in the world, but he is pretty good. He's got A- tackle. His pursuit is great. Dave Hatcher. He's projected a mid-second round talent. So that's kind of where some of the problem comes in, is trying to find this guy here in the later first round. There just wasn't too much available. Now, Bushrod, he does fit our scheme. So we do have that going for us in terms of, fitting what we need as far as being a big man in the middle of this defensive line. So we do, negotiate in our head, justify going over him, but he is projected to be a late first round. And so that's who we're going to fire off on. And they say we reach, but he has got a development trait. And that development trait is going to be a big pickup for us. And that is going to really help us out on our defensive line. We've gotten some pretty good picks to fill in for some big holes we had. So Bushrod being in the middle, we got our good left end to replace J.J. Watt after that trade. So this is turning out to be a pretty decent first round of drafting for us. And so now we advance, since we did not have a second round pick. Now we are going to move on to the third, and let's see who we can pick up in this one. We did limit ourselves with who all we scouted because we were focusing on defense. So what we can truly view is, I guess you could say, rather limited. And so taking a look, we're still going to be eyeballing our defensive backs. And we're going to Dominique Tompkins. He is a projected, looks like second round. He had a really good combine. This may be the man to go with. And that's who we're going to pick. And he is going to be a hidden development trait. We got him in the third round, our strong safety. And he was projected to be the number 55 overall talent. That is a hell of a pickup for us on that one. And so now we're going to advance to our next pick right away. Like I said, I'm not going to focus too much on what everybody else is doing. Here in the fifth round, let's see who we need to go with. Really, who do we have that we have some information on? At this point, if you notice, kind of looking off to our left, our offensive line is rather limited. So if anything, I need to get a backup, a guy that could be serviceable in multiple positions. And so that's why I'm going to go with Mr. Gary Cantrell, a center. He was top 10 in everything in his combine report. So he's a 65 overall for being picked up in the fifth round. That's pretty dang decent. And I think he'll turn out to be better than what his stats show. If he's given the chance, I'm not sure what the deal is with our current center right now. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. And now we advance up all the way to our seventh round pick, almost to the end of this first draft. Who is going to be our final pick of this draft? Our Mr. Irrelevant. Not the draft's irrelevant, ours. And I only have one QB, and I don't want to sign some free agent to way more than what I really want to pay him, since I know we're going to be limited. So Chad Pryor, he did have second in the vertical jump. Pretty good combine overall, top 10 in almost everything except for bench press. And he's a scrambler, so the more mobile is kind of what we like. And so we are going to pick him out of Middle Tennessee. And that will do it for us. Now, he's going to be a 55 overall, but I don't know. I just got a feeling about him. I think he'll be a serviceable backup for a while. He's definitely not going to be a starter by any means, barring an injury. So, that's one of the things. Serviceable is all I need out of my backup. And let's take a look at this recap as we are going to compare ourselves to the NFL. Just need to get this thing sorted. Started scrolling through and I was like, wait a second. That's just how they picked out. Yeah, you see, Peterson drafted earlier got he's only a 71 overall, so you can miss. And primarily it is a computer that misses. Mr. Matthew Miller, our J.J. Watt replacement, comes in as like the number 3 overall pick. And let's take a look, keep scrolling down. And there he is, Mr. Max Forbes. That's, I believe, top 10, if not top 15 pick. And we should have one more at least in the top 32, which would make sense. We had 3 picks in the first round, so we should have at least one more here. And there he is, Mr. Rashaan Bushrod, coming through there as a 72 overall. And what I really like about him is he does have the development trait on him, so that's a very big thing that we were needing. We're going to take a look at the roster, and really it's just kind of to see who we have and what position. Do I need to make some changes? I can also see salary stuff, so it lets me know, okay, this year is going to be pretty rough in the salary cap and everything like that. David Johnson is 77 overall. I really think I'm going to end up trading him, or at least I'm going to try to. I mean, we'll see what happens, but that's most likely going to be it. The season hasn't really technically started. I won't be able to put him on the trade block till I get to the preseason. So we will see. Now here's an interesting one: Brandon Cooks and Will Fuller, 89 to an 86. I'm really debating whether or not I should put Brandon Cooks on the trade block. He doesn't have as much speed, so that is an issue. But man, he's got some good hands on him. And I don't know. It's just not that big of a drop off. And we're pretty deep at wide receiver, so we definitely got some space. That's something to look forward to. And so I'm going to go ahead and leave y'all off here as we kind of finish up some of this roster review. I do want to thank y'all for watching today. And if you have not subscribed already to Champ and Sons, go ahead and hit that little subscribe button for all of our content. And then also, if you could give us a little thumbs up as well, because that really does help out the channel, and we do greatly appreciate it. And so I will be, I probably mentioned before, I will be advancing through the preseason. So I will see y'all at the kickoff of our very next season. And so until then, everybody, as always, stay safe. And, well, you know how it goes. Later, y'all.